Hey, great day to you all. I hope that you all were able to wake up super grateful to be alive again another day in this experience. And I hope that you've been able to tell yourself all the great things that you need to tell yourself. Like you're amazing, and you're capable, and you're smart, and you're strong, and everything's learning, and that you'll be fine throughout your learning today. You know, I stress this a lot. Well, you know, I don't just tell you all this. I have to do the same. We all in this world right now, with the shifts and the changes and us all enduring our unique individual lives. You know, there's a lot that we cannot control. But there's one thing that we can control. And that's our state of being. And why do I say that? Well, you know, I'm not walking a breeze in the park right now. And I haven't been for months. And it seems like things just are not getting better. They're getting a lot worse, actually. But it's okay. You see what I mean? Like, you really have to remain still no matter what you gotta live. And I say that being the prime example for that because, you know, things happen. Out of our control, things happen. And things are going to happen. But you got to maintain being okay no matter what is happening. And I can't stress that enough more than I do now. Why? Because I have to be okay no matter what. And if I'm not, well, it's because I've chosen that. Doesn't matter what I've got to live. Doesn't matter what I've got to do. Factually. Okay? You guys really have to make a commitment to yourself to be okay. No matter what you have to live. And no matter what you have to learn. Because you may not think it to be relevant today. But it is very relevant to whatever's coming your way. And this is what we seem to forget. We seem to forget that every day that we live prepares us for the next. Factually. And we are really supposed to take all the learning possible out of our days. And have heart-filling moments. By choice. You see, there's a lot of changes happening in the world today, and there's a lot of people dealing with a lot of things. I know. Look, just living in the place that I'm living, forget my living conditions, but there are people like, I did a video the other day of a reminder of somebody in psychosis and them showing up at my door. Well, Thursday after my radio class, when I took a pause from there to empty my dryers, I saw his mom. And she literally told me that I had saved her son's life that day. By taking the time with him. So, this is what I mean about being okay, no matter what you're living. It is very important that I remain okay, no matter what I am living, so that I can be of service to others when needed. You see? And it seems crazy to some, but I have never put myself first. But I do put myself first when it has to come to maintaining an okay within me. What do I mean by that? Well, in comparison to everything that I've lived in my life, there is nothing that can happen to me today that could be any worse than what I've already lived. So, I have a choice. I can allow everything in today to stress me out, to steal my power, to throw me off kilter, to throw me into confusion, or I can remain okay no matter what. And what does remaining okay no matter what do for me? Well, It stabilizes my being. It gives me clarity, and it gives me a calmness within my being that, hey, my face is healing. Okay? So, yes, it can be very difficult because we have emotional reactions to things. But I want to remind you guys all today why we have emotional reactions to things. You know, half of the time when we're having a reaction to something, it's because that's how we were programmed to react. So, you don't just react to things just because. No. You react in that manner because that's how you were conditioned to react. You were told what emotion you were feeling before you could identify it for yourself. Factually. So, what do I mean? Well, our kids, when they're having a tantrum or they're acting out or they're feeling angry or frustrated, or before they can express it, we're conditioning them to believe what it is by throwing a title on it, by naming that reaction for them. Yeah, that's why we react. That's why we handle things the way we do. By watching others before us handle things. So, if you're, let's just say, if you grew up watching your mother be overwhelmed all the time and not be able to handle situations, or watching your mother emotional all the time, or, well, guess what? You're going to be the same way. Because subconsciously, that's how you've been programmed to react. We learn more by observation than we do from somebody telling us. So, half the time, we get angry because we think that's the reaction we're supposed to have. We get saddened because we think that's the reaction we're supposed to have. We get happy because we think that's the emotion we're supposed to have. Why? Because of how we were conditioned as children to believe our emotions were. So, that stays with us until it's corrected, factually. And unless you really go in and do the work, well, no, you can't stay okay no matter what during everything. And no, you can't shut off these emotional reactions. And no, you know. And you know something is funny. Because the only person that can trigger an emotional reaction out of me at this point is my mother. And that's it. That's it. Other than that, there's nobody else that'll trigger an emotion in me. Not one person. Not from happy to sad to glad to nothing. Why? Because I'm in a state of neutral all the time. I want no emotions running through my body at all. Why? Because that's the true stabilization of your being. Is to just be. And to allow all to just be. And to learn and acquire as much as possible. And while you're in chaos of an emotional reaction, you're not learning anything. So, I can't react to situations or circumstances or interactions according to emotions. No. Emotions, like I said in my first book, are man-made. They are. They are. And emotions are factually to stabilize our being. That's why we have them. You see, energies we pick up on with our true brain, our heart, first. Okay? Then it shoots through to the limbic system if you can't stay in your heart space. So, if you remain in your heart space, there is no emotional reaction to be had. Ever. Why? Because the emotions come from a different part of the brain. Different part of the body. Completely. So, how do we have emotional reactions? Well, primarily because we're programmed to react that way. So what happens? We feel on energies of our heart space. It's either going to pull you to it or it's going to push you away from it. That's the true governance of your being. If you cannot have the capacity to remain there and trust your heart and what it's telling you, well, the energy will be forced through the rest of your 3 brains. Why? To process it. Because you haven't processed it with its first brain. So it gets shot to the backup brains for processing because you haven't been able to stay in your heart space. So what happens after that? Well, the instinctual brain kicks in first. Because but it makes sense when you think about it. So your first brain is your heart. Well, if you can't stay there, because everything should be pulling you or pushing you away, well, if you can't remain there, well, your body automatically, the energy goes to the instinctual brain because our bodies are always trying to keep us safe, to live out our experience, firstly. So the instinctual brain is going to kick in first because automatically it's going to perceive, okay, well, if there's something that can't be filtered with the heart, well, it might be life-threatening. You see? And that's why the instinctual brain kicks in. And what does that do? Fight, flight, or freeze automatically. And that's why I say all the time that I can trust my instinctual brain to react according to the situation or circumstance at hand without even me thinking about it. Because that's what it's governed to do. Well, after the instinctual brain has figured out that there's no life-threatening situation at hand, well, then it goes to the emotional center, the energy. And why? Well, it has to restabilize the processing of the instinctual brain and all of this energy that you've allowed to flow through you without remaining in your heart space. The emotions are factually to stabilize our bodies back into well-being before the logical brain kicks in. And your logical brain will not kick in if you are in any kind of emotional reaction. It won't. Because it has a job to do. So what happens? Your emotions try to restabilize your being according to what you've just experienced and the data you're picking up on from your senses and from your biofield. We're constantly processing data. Constantly. Well, if you're not in the capacity to process this data from your first brain, which is your heart, well, then the backup brains have a job to do to restabilize your being. Because if you listen to your first heart, you don't have to restabilize from anything. You see, this is the key. Staying in your heart space, there's 2 feelings, and that's it. And that's the true governance of any type of choice or decision making or circumstantial or interactional or situational. That's the only thinking you should have. Yes, I'm all in, or no, it's not for me. That's it. That should be the extent of your thinking with the governance of your choices in your life. And if you can't do that, well, then the instinctual brain has to kick in. And it has to then question why you couldn't stay in your heart space, number one. Because your instincts are to keep you safe. So if you are in danger, or you must fight, flight, or freeze, see, and half the time, people don't even realize it's their instinctual brain or their patterns kicking in at all, which this is why people Get aggressive right away. Fight. Whatever they're feeling. Even if they're feeling love. If it's a threat to them, they're going to fight it. How do I know? I just lived with somebody like that. Factually. Because it wasn't the problem of him. It was the problem that love was a threat to him. And that's what caused all of the fucking problems. Okay? So one will self-sabotage because love is a threat. And their instinctual brain, if they believe love is a threat to them, their body will be constantly in fight, flight, or freeze with you. Even if you're just trying to love them. So, this is what happens to people. If you really can't stay in the governance of your being in your heart, and you can't love yourself unconditionally, and you can't love others unconditionally, well, more than not, you are actually stuck in your fucking patterns of your instinctual brain believing that there's a threat. Well, there's a lot of things in life that can be a threat should you choose for them to be. And there's a lot of things that, yes, become embedded quick reference points as threats to us because these things have thrown us off. And that's the true threat to our being, is to become destabilized and out of balance. That is the biggest threat to our body. So this is why these quick reference points get stored. This is why you have automatic reactions and patterns of things. Because that's the easiest way for your body to function. To keep you in balance, to keep you in harmony. But if you're stuck in your instinctual brain, always fighting everything or running from it or feeling fucking stuck, well, you're stuck in your instinctual brain. And you will run everything off of your instinctual brain. Well, this is how society has us living too, is in our instinctual brain. Producing threats around us all the time. Trying to make people fearful. Why? Because fear will right away have them in their instinctual brain. Fighting it. Running from it, or freezing. So that's why fear, and that's why people love to induce fear on another also. Once you induce fear on somebody, that's the quickest way to manipulate them because they are no longer in the proper functioning of their brain. Factually. That's why I fear nothing or no one. Factually. I don't care. That doesn't happen with me. I'm not stuck in my instinctual brain. But then when you go to think about things, or when your body, when you automatically have these emotional reactions to things, even situations, okay? So your instinctual brain has processed it. Well, all of that processing and all of those reactions within your body, which are factually produced chemical reactions, and our body totally out of fucking whack, because it's adrenaline based then. Okay? You're on guard. It's your instincts. Well, that has to regulate somehow. Your body can't sit in that. Your body can't sit in those hormones that'll kill you. So it needs the emotional reaction to restabilize you. But half of the time, the truest emotional reaction to anything is to have a good cry. We're the ones that attach labels to our feelings. We're the ones that attach and identify what emotion it is that we're feeling. How can there be a basis of anything if we all process things different? This is why I say in my first book, emotions are man-made. They are. And they're unique to every single person. There's not one basic emotion across the board. And according to the frequency of their being and according to the reaction and how much they actually felt really governs the emotional reaction. But again, I'm going to say it. The emotional reaction half the time is stamped into our brain as something we watched others reacting and how they reacted to things. Okay? But more so than not, come on, as kids, when we were having whatever reactions we were having emotionally, we were being told what that reaction was. So what do I mean? Well, hey, did your parents ever tell you, oh, aren't you angry? Or aren't you, like, think about how, if we've had kids, we've told our children that whatever they are feeling, we've put a label on it. So they're feeling overwhelmed or they're feeling whatever they're feeling, and we've said, oh, well, you're feeling angry. Oh, you're feeling this or you're feeling that. That's how they've been able to identify what they're feeling, is what we've told them about it. So it would be the same for you. This is why I say inner work is really important. Because when I realized that my reactions to things and the way I felt about certain situations or scenarios, I had realized that that stuff was put in me by other people also. I only realized this when I started to study my reactions to things. Yeah. Why do I react the way I react? And why do certain things make me feel the way that they do? And why is it that, oh, well, this emotion is attached to this reaction when really there shouldn't even be that? Like, I really did a deep dive on myself. I had to figure it out. Well, I did. And it's through me taking a deep dive and learning everything that I have that I can sit out here and tell you guys, hey, look, emotions are man-made. Why? Because they are printed in us as a label, according to what we're feeling, identified by somebody else who is not even feeling what we are feeling at that moment. Tell me I'm wrong. So this is why you have to take a look at even the emotional reactions. You know why people even grieve? You know why people are saddened by things? Because that's how they believe they're supposed to react. They're attaching a label. Yeah. Well, how many of us are programmed to react wrong emotionally on this planet? Oh, the whole fucking population. Because we have been misled about what emotions are to begin with. And then this whole, energy and motion, emotions. Yeah, you're fucking right. It's energy and motion. But they don't tell you that it's to restabilize your body from the reactions that you've believed that you had to have. Yeah. So, guys, you really got to look at what happens in your life and then you emotionally react to. You got to really take a look at that stuff. Not just sit back and go, fuck, I shouldn't have reacted like that. Or, no, figure out why you react the way you do. Figure out why you have, first of all, when you have emotional reactions, figure out what they are first. Instead of saying, okay, well, I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or I'm this, or I'm that. Sit with it. Because if you sit with it, I guarantee you it feels very different than what you're about to call it. That's how much inner work I've done. Yeah, even down to assessment of my own emotional reactions. Yeah. Actually, you have to. To self-master, you got to know everything, not just your triggers, but why do you react the way you do? What is embedded in there to the point where you don't even know it's there until it's triggered. And why do we have triggers like that? Because our body knows what it feels like to be out of whack. That's why it's stored in there for quick reference, so that you do not have to relive it, because your body must remember how that made you feel to avoid it again. Well, isn't it real chaos for somebody's being if they don't know what's stored and running automatically in their subconscious brain, primarily? They are triggered by everything, even the wind, and don't understand why or where it comes from. They just think, oh, that's just the way they are. Fuck that. You weren't born like that. You weren't born shaming anybody, blaming anybody, guilting anybody, judging anybody. None of that shit existed when you were born. All you knew is love, thriving. You didn't even know fear. It's all learned. Well, so are your emotional reactions. Yeah. And so are your responses. And so is your cycle of repeat. Hey, you got to dive in and figure out what that operating system is you're running on. But I bet you if I asked you what kind of phone you had, you'd be able to tell me if it was an Apple or an Android or a this or a that. Well, what fucking system are you running on? Can you tell me that? Hey, Bobby Lynn, I love ya. Oh, my cousin, I love you. Every time you see, even just your name makes me smile. I love you, I love you. Yeah, but it's for real. If you don't actually identify what operating system you are functioning on, you cannot correct it. I love you. I love you more. I do. You make me smile all the time. All the time, all the time. I get all, I feel all warm and fuzzy. Yeah, so everybody watching that, Bobby Lynn, that's my cousin. Yeah, I love her to death. I love her, I love her, I love her. Man, I'd go to war for her. So anybody troubling her, watch out. Because, yeah, you're up against me too. Trust that. But we got quite the spirit team, so we're good. Cheers to that. Me too. See, everything's full circle, you know. Everything's full circle. And you know what? I'll say it too. Out of all my cousins, this is the only cousin that I'm attached to. Literally. Like all my other cousins, yeah, we have a lot of cousins. But when it comes to a real connection with any one of my cousins, she's the only one. She really is. Like, yeah, we talk. And when we talk for hours. And we just, yeah, I love her to death. I love her. I love her. And you know what? But I've loved her ever since she was a baby. So, it's like I've really, because all my other cousins, everybody's older. We only have, there's one other cousin that is in between us. That is my godmother's daughter. But me and, yeah, full circle. I'm so grateful to have her in my life. So no matter what life happens, guys, you see, because her and I were disconnected for years too. Because of family. Really, because we didn't, her life was that way, my life was this way, and we were both trying to survive. Why? Because we are the proud products of the black sheep in our family too. I carry that proudly. Yeah. I'm very grateful for who my dad was and for who his sister, which is her grandmother, was. And I'm grateful for her mom too. Oh, yes. Yep. One of a kind. One of a kind. One of a kind. And us two women, trust me, we stand proudly and firmly for the whole fucking lineage. Little do they all know. Yep, and she's of the same magnitude as me. No, yes, she is. And I'm grateful for that, because it takes one. You know what? You know what? I'll say it too. This is why I'm so grateful for her. Because both of our lives have been a bag of shit. And both of our lives have, we've really had to endure the thickest of the shit. And life, we don't know what an easy life is. We really don't. And it's only now that even both of us are learning to be super solid no matter what life is throwing at us. So she inspires me and I inspire her, and we both get it because we've both lived it. You see, not just me and not just her, but her and I, we have both lived the brunt end of everything. The family we come from, the so-called support that's never and non-existent from that family, the outcasting from that family, that, let's not bother inviting them because they're not on the same page as us. Well, she's endured it too. So no, I'm not delusional about anything. You see? And this is why I love her so much, because she's endured it all too. And she sees me. And I see her. You see? And that's all that fucking matters. Yeah. Well, I tell you, she's carried the cross for this family too. And that's okay. Because, girl, we've done it. So now it's time for good times. Big time. Yeah. Because they don't understand. We have to feel it all in order to heal it. Because of it leaking through the generations, because they didn't and they couldn't have the opportunity to heal it themselves. They don't get it. They don't get it. Well, we're proudly freeing our ancestors, our ancestry, okay? And all of our lineage afterwards. So, hey, what can I say? We do take the cake. Well, intentionally. It's all good, though. It's all good. I love it. Oy. Okay, yeah, so I was talking about the instinctual brain and emotional reactions. And you know what? Half the time, you guys need to realize that we react to things because we're programmed to react that way. So what do I mean? Well, look, if there's something happening and you get triggered into having a reaction, look at that reaction. Look at why you're reacting that way. Look at what's forcing you to be triggered. Go deeper into the event. Rewrite those events so that you don't get triggered into these emotional blowout states that are supposed to be stabilizing your being. This is another thing that happens. When you get to the emotional brain, well, people feed it. People feed their emotions by giving it energy. What do I mean? Well, how many times do you feel a reaction come on within yourself, and then instead of sitting there in silence and just breathing and allowing it to flow through you and you analyzing it, which is supposed to be how it is, because like I just mentioned, emotions are just supposed to restabilize your being, not throw you out of whack. So, how many times do you feel something coming on? And instead of just letting it pass 60 to 90 seconds, well, we feed it. And what do I mean by feed it? Well, all of a sudden, you start to question that feeling. So you're putting your focus there. So where you put your focus is where you put your energy. And then you think about it. So you've just put more life force into it. Well, and then you speak it. Well, that's the final icing on the cake once you've said it out loud. By saying, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, you're commanding it to be like that in your being. And you are actually Instead of your body restabilizing itself with that emotional reaction, you're actually inducing more of a reaction within your body. Yeah. Well, just like everything is reversed in the operation of how we're living and the governance of us, well, everybody's got it totally reversed about what the emotions are supposed to do for us. They're supposed to restabilize you. And that is why the logical brain only kicks in after the emotional reaction is over with. So as long as you're stuck in any emotional reaction feeding it, you will never see the logic. Well, if you want a state of clarity, you can't be having any emotional reactions. It was funny because somebody said to me the other day, Toby, it's impossible for you to sit there and say that you don't have any emotional reactions. Well, being self-mastered, I just said it at the beginning of the live. Listen, a true emotional reaction for me is for my soul to have a good cry. And that's it. And I release it. I can't identify it, and I can't put a label on it and no. It's a feeling that lasts 60 to 90 seconds to restabilize my body. And half the time, all I need is to let my tears out and it restabilizes if it's to that magnitude. And if not, I just got to breathe. But I can't throw a name on it and throw a situation or circumstance into the mix too and then totally fuck myself over. And I had said it at the beginning of the live too. There's one person that still triggers emotions in me. And that's my mother. And she's the only one that does. What do I mean by that? Well, frustration, anger. Yeah, because I love my mother to death, but it doesn't matter how much I talk to her. It's like she doesn't understand who I am and what I'm saying to her. She hears me, but she doesn't get it. So therefore, yes, it triggers something in me because I feel like, fuck, why can't you just get it? Nobody, anyway, it's very few people that understand what I'm telling them. Literally. So, but she's the only one that can actually trigger an emotional reaction out of me at this point. Other than that, there's I think, when I feel emotional, which I know is just energy flowing through me, well, I just let it out. I release it. If I have to have a cry, I will. Right on the spot. I don't hold back. For what? I know that it's just restabilizing my body. So why would I not allow that to be? I must allow that emotional reaction, if it's flowing through me, to restabilize my being. But, like I've said in my first book, emotions are man-made. Man fuels their fucking emotions to be something they are not supposed to be. And when you when you look at all of this stuff logically, you can see it. Literally. I'll remind you again. Why do you have emotional reactions? Well, because number one, you were programmed to react the way you were, and you were programmed to identify your emotions according to what somebody else believed you were going through. And when somebody sits and tells you, oh, you're too emotional, well, what kind of energy do you have flowing through you? Because I know the people that have told me that I'm too emotional can't even take my energy to begin with. So, but you gotta, you really, really have to investigate for yourself. Because when you do that inner work and you actually identify why you react and are triggered and what brings on these certain emotional reactions and what causes you to react like that. Because I guarantee you it is a person, place, or thing that made you feel something that triggers that in you. Because it's definitely not what's going on in your life right now. Why do these things get triggered in us? Because that's the easiest thing for your body to do to keep you running on repeat, to keep you safe. It's got a job to do. It's got way too much to do to be worrying about how you're going to fly off the handle if you should. So it'll just do what it knows best to do from quick reference points of how you've reacted so many times that it's become an automatic repeat. Trust me, it's not always easy, eh? But it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Can't run from that kind of work. And you got to see why you react the way you do. Like, are you fighting everything in your life? Are you running from everything in your life? Are you staying stuck? Because if you're any of that three, you are locked in your instinctual brain. Factually. Running on fight, flight, or freeze. And that's how society keeps us. In that instinctual brain. Because it's the easiest way to manipulate and have power over you. Factually, because it keeps your adrenaline high, and it keeps your worries high, and it keeps your fear high, and it keeps your whatever. But what are the worries? Well, the belief that there's lack of everything and there's scarcity of everything, when in actuality there's enough for everybody. Whether it comes to money, whether it comes to food, whether it comes to whatever. Do you know that if all of us on the planet had no governance of lacks and borders and restrictions and all of this shit of governance, and everybody was being kind to one another, we have enough in the world for everybody to live great. But when people are happy, well, they're not as easily controllable because they want to stay happy. So this is why we get locked into a fear-based response all the time, fearing that what? Oh, fearing what's going to happen, not knowing what's going to happen next, fearing whether we're going to be loved and approved and accepted by another person. Truth, yeah, all the time. But it's true, like, you know, come on, it keeps you fearing. Why do you think all of these Barbie doll things are on and all of these like, oh, glam girls and look like this and look like that? Because it always keeps women feeling like they're not enough. And they're not good enough, or they don't look good enough because there's always something prettier to look at. Fuck that. Half of that shit is fake. Just like all the shit they're putting on them to make them look like that. Okay? All fake. All fake. You know, society wants people to become so plastic. Why? Because of their 2030 agenda. So it won't feel too bad when you're really an artificial fucking intelligence robot. Brain chips. You guys, this is why I come out here and tell people they need to get right with themselves, eh? Before they get hooked up to that 2030 agenda. Oh, yeah. Because people can't think for themselves? Well, you guys better start clearing out your thinking patterns and thinking for yourself. Because if not, woo! You'll be more plastic than you ever figured out in your life. You know, honestly. And that's why it's funny, eh? Because, you know, on that note, I gotta say it. You know, I don't walk around trying to look pretty or trying to get attention or trying to, nah. That's not how I operate, eh? Never. And I'll tell you something. Any man that I have seen that I was interested in or I wanted a taste of, I got. By just being me. Not the way I looked. And it's funny because, yeah, I'm not a Barbie doll and I don't wear the makeup and I'm not slim and trim and all fit. No, I'm not. But even like the girl told me down the hall, Tobi, I have never seen you with a man that's not fine. Yeah, well, why would I not settle for that? Come on. I don't need to be a Barbie. I need to be me. And anybody knows that. See, you don't need to be these, everybody's always trying to, if they're not looking for people, you're beautiful. So are you. Like, you gotta look at the women that are doing it. And why must any woman feel like they have to disguise themselves to be beautiful? I don't understand that. I don't. And you know what? Thanks for the compliment, Bobby Lynn. But you know something? It's funny because even I gave a guy a ride today. Like every couple of weeks, he's got a specific ride he needs, so I give it to him. And I was telling him that I was rather shocked the other day because lately, men, like real men that I appreciate, I love men, that are men, not men playing Mickey Mouse, you know what I'm saying? But I've had a lot of men since I have been going outside without my winter hat on and stuff. A lot of men telling me, I love your glow with your shaved head. Your shaved head. Like, they've seen me for years. But the shaved head look, they said it's very, very intriguing. And, so, ladies, you don't need to be all, buckled into accessories and excess this and excess that to be beautiful. Your glow and your uniqueness is enough. Factually. But it's your energy. It's really got nothing to do with your looks. It's your energy. And when your energy is welcoming and enticing and warm and loving, well, yes, who wouldn't want to be in that energy? So, this is why I also say you got to become the partner that you want. You have to. You got to love yourself enough to the magnitude that you can love somebody like that. Yeah, and if you're always trying to change yourself or always trying to, the only competition I'm in is with myself to be better than I was yesterday. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I'm happy with who I am. Took the words out of my mouth. It's the energy. Yes, it is. And this is why I tell people to get right with their own personal energy, because that's all that really matters. It's all about energy. Nothing more, nothing less. It's getting hot in here. Yeah, it's raining like a son of a gun. That's okay, though. We need it. Let it clean up, little big cleanup. It's very much needed. Yeah, so I haven't been out to do lives, and literally, I'm out here now. Just seems like to be rambling on a little bit. But that's all good, too. Yeah, so guys, watch your emotional reactions to things. Yeah, we all react and we all whatever, but don't react. Respond. But how do you respond? Respond from your heart space, nothing else. Don't respond from your automatic, repeated, embedded reactions that you only understand them to be what they are because you were told that's what it was. Oh, I just react like that. No, you don't. Trust me when I tell you that. There's a cause to every effect. So it's not what we're living that causes these reactions. It's what we have already lived that does. So a part of being able to live in your now is to delete the shit that is no longer serving you purpose from your past. Yeah. So be open to reacting differently. Respond to anything in a way that maintains your wellness no matter what. Yeah. How do I know? Because this is what my governance is now. I am really 100% trying to remain at a neutral point no matter what I am living. And it's very difficult to do so because my situation, circumstance is getting a lot worse by the day. The guy came in here yesterday for the mice, and that's why I didn't come out on the live. Look, a week ago, I nearly pushed myself to another heart attack trying to get the shit and piss of mice out of here. Okay? Now, he came back yesterday to tell me that it is severely out of control. Severely. And I have to go again and do this every week now until this shit is done with. And it won't be done for a minute because he took pictures of holes from literally outside right into my apartment. So that's going to lead to renovations in my place and all kinds of more bullshit because I've waited 6 years for cupboards. You think that they're going to come and do this anytime quick? The buildings are completely infested with mice. Well, I'm glad it's only mice in here and not the cockroaches that are in the building and the bed bugs that are in the building and all the rest of the shit. How do I avoid all of that? Because I've sealed my apartment. I had to learn the hard way. Well, the guy told me yesterday that every one of the bins that I had that were open that I had found mice shit in the bottom of, that everything in those bins was contaminated and had to go if it couldn't be washed. Mice, urine and feces is very toxic to humans, to the point where I am actually breaking out in patches of eczema all over my body from it now. So, hey, like I said, shit's going to get a lot worse here before anything gets better. That's okay, because I'm built for it. And I'm to have no reaction to it. Doesn't matter. No response, no reaction. Why? Because I got to remain okay no matter what. This is my point to it all. It doesn't matter what you got to live. It can be a choice to remain okay no matter what. That's where your truest power is. Well, when you've had a life like I have, nothing could be worse than what I've already lived, so it's okay. Yeah. And yes, I've reached out to everything I possibly could and everything. Come on, I'm not going to sit here and preach to the world and not contact everybody that I've had to contact to try to make a change, but this has been 7 months of it. This is, I didn't just call now. This is something that has been undergoing for months with no change, only getting a lot worse. That's okay. It's just something I gotta live. Have I learned lessons out of it? Oh, fuck yes, I have. And this is why I'm on another repeat of just going, okay, throw it all out. I don't need it. What do I need? I only need the air that I breathe. Factually. And the wonderful man in my life keeps telling me, you have too much thing. And how does he say it? Because he's Jamaican, so he says, you have too much things for one person. And he's right. I do. I have too much for one person. So I just have to rid myself of it all. And this is so the mice are actually forcing me to throw out all kinds of stuff, which I love to do. I love throwing stuff out. I love throwing stuff out more than I love bringing stuff home. Actually, I get excited. I feel excited talking about all the stuff I got to throw out again today. Yesterday, I threw out so much stuff. I can't keep it. It's contaminated. It's got to go. So, yeah, do a cleanup today, guys, in your minds and in your beings and in your reactions to things and in the state that you choose to embody for yourself. Because, I've heard way too many people lately say to me, Oh, well, I just feel this way. No, you fucking don't. You don't wake up feeling that way. These are states that you've chosen, because when we wake up, for the first 5 minutes, we do not feel anything until our automatic programming kicks in. And then if you believe that you are to feel pain, you will, on automatic repeat. And if you believe in your mind, because your automatic programming is going to function your days to the laws of least effort. So if it's easier for your body to run on repeat, well, it will. That's when you got to say, okay, I'll correct that. Simple. You're not controlling me. I'm controlling you. So yes, it's very much, you are very capable of having zero emotional reaction to things. How do you avoid an emotional reaction? You stay in your heart. Factually. Because your heart will give you two feelings. Yes, it's for me, and pull you to it, or no, it is not for me, and push you away from it. That's it. And anybody who's emotionally intelligent knows that the emotion has to subside before the logic kicks in. Well, guess what? Now emotional intelligence needs to go to emotional mastery when people realize, hey, emotions are simply to stabilize your being after the fight, flight, or freeze fucking processing. I hope that correlation you guys make today. Because if you stay in your heart space, there's no fight, flight, or freeze, and there's no emotional reactions. And that's the true brain. You don't need logical thinking after your two other brains have gone berserk for you to get it right because you missed it the first time around. This is what everybody has to understand. And I hope you've made that correlation today, if anything. Yep. Stay in your true brain. That's your freedom from everything else. Factually. And you know what? I'll close up this live with a joke. Well, not really a joke. So, like I said, I was giving this guy a ride. Dropping him off. And we were laughing about some things. And we were laughing about my ex, And he had said something. And I just said to him, well, listen, Scotty. Once you have a Tobi in your life, you suffer when you no longer have one of those. It's as simple as that. So, gotta laugh it off. Yo, bro, I just seen you pop on here. You better call me right now. I am coming off the live to talk to you. Where the fuck you been, Mr. MIA? Oh, yes. Okay. You know what? I'd love you all. Have a great day. But you know what? My right hand just surfaced. Yo, right hand. Can we clap together today or what? Yo, I need my hand to clap, yo, bro. Come on, dog. You gotta call me. Like right now, I'm coming off the live. So you better friggin' answer because, I'm wondering, Everybody else, I love you all. Have a great day. Stay out of your fucking heads because that's the wrong place to be. That place is full of shit, guarantee. Yes, you. Yes, you. Bro. Yo, I'm coming off the live because I want to talk to you one-on-one. I'm really happy I seen you. Jesus. Oh, yes. Okay, everybody, I love you all. Have a great day. I need to go and speak to my buddy. Okay, I love you all. Peace. Box off the face.
What?
I love you. I'm calling you now.